Hi crafters, I'm Sam with MakerFlo Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to sublimate with a 40-oz tumbler. Let's take a look at what we need to get this project started. For this project, you'll need your heat protective glove, you'll need your sublimation oven, your sublimation tape, either wide or skinny, your sublimation print design, and your sublimation cup. Don't forget your toolkit.
First, let's get our design all cut out and ready to go. If you created outlines for your design like we did, go ahead and get those trimmed first. If you use a template, you're going to see lines around the border of your design. Be sure to cut inside of those lines and not to include any of that on the image. If you do leave any of those lines behind because they were printed with sublimation paper and sublimation ink, they will print onto your cup. So the line should serve only as a guideline of the edges of your design. Really take your time and trim all the way around the top and the bottom to make sure that everything is ready to print onto your cup. Now that everything is cut out, go ahead and set your design down and then grab your cup and we'll start to unbox it. When you're opening the cup, you'll notice there's styrofoam at the top. That's to go ahead and leave space for the handle. That way when you add it on afterwards, it can fit through the little slot on the side. Go ahead and grab the cup out of the box by the bag. That way you touch the cup as little as possible. You'll want to unscrew the lid, being careful not to touch the cup in case you have oils or debris on your hands. Inside the cup, you'll notice a little care card. Go ahead and set that down to the side. Save that for later on after you finish your masterpiece. Now for best results, don't copy us and leave the plastic on the cup. We'll want to actually do one more step, and we're going to grab the handle with the plastic still on the cup and go ahead and put the handle in place. We're doing this so that when we measure our design later, we can make sure we know where the seam line goes. Once your handle's secure, go ahead and remove the plastic and then grab your design and start to wrap it around the cup. For a full wrap, you want to make sure your design wraps all the way around the cup with just a tiny bit of overlap. Looks like we're all good, so we can go ahead and set the cup down and just go ahead and prep the design for sublimation. So because it had a little bit of overlap, now we're going to want to go ahead and grab some sublimation tape and we're going to line the edge of the paper to make sure that when those papers overlap each other, they don't bleed onto the image. This will create just one solid image and not a blurry or double line. So go ahead and lay your tape down closest to the edge as you can without going over. Make sure it goes all the way to the edge of the design and then do the same thing to the bottom half. Now go ahead and grab the top half of the design and position it around the cup so that the seam line is covered by the handle. Make sure the print is facing the cup and then wrap it around. Make sure the edge with the tape goes down first and the side without the tape goes over it. Pull those two edges of the paper together as tightly as possible, then grab a piece of tape and adhere the sides together. Before laying the tape down, make sure that the bottom pieces of paper are aligned and meet at an even spot. Once you are ready to go, you can go ahead and pull off a little piece of tape. You'll want to secure it from the side of the paper that flaps over the taped edge. That way it's going in the same direction as the paper, encouraging it to lay down nice and flat. So make sure these pieces are pulled together really tightly and go ahead and lay down your tape. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and lay down just a few more pieces of tape right above it and right below it. That way you've secured your design where it needs to be. When you're done with the top half, go ahead and do the bottom half as well. Once you secure that last piece of tape, you'll want to go ahead and hold the cup with 2 fingers and give it a little shake. This is to check to see if the design is snug. If it doesn't move, we're good to go. We can go ahead and grab our bottom half of the design now, and we're going to do the same thing. Wrap the design around the cup with the print facing the cup. You want the side that has the tape on it to go down first, and the side without the tape to go down after. Make sure you're holding those pieces together nice and tightly and that the bottom edges align with each other. Once everything lays the way it should and you have it pulled together really tightly, go ahead and grab 1 piece of tape and lay that down in the center. Again, go in the same direction as the paper, that way it lays down nice and flat. Once you have that 1 piece of tape done, go ahead and do just a few more pieces to make sure that your design is nice and secure. You'll lay 1 on top and 1 on the bottom. Next, we'll grab a strip of tape to go over the seam line. We'll go ahead and use this piece of tape for the bottom half of the cup first. Lay it down all the way over that seam line to where it's directly in the middle of where that seam is. Use pressure to apply the tape down, making it lay nice and straight. Then go ahead and grab another strip of tape and do the same thing for the top half. Go ahead and lay that down using even pressure, make sure it's nice and straight directly over that seam line. Feel free to run your finger down the line again just to make sure it's nice and snug. Once you're done with the seam line, go ahead and take off your handle. You won't need that anymore. For this next part, some people like to use the tape directly off the roll. Some people like to use the dispenser, so use what works best for you. But you'll want to grab your tape and start from where the seam line is and go all the way around the cup. You want to go right to the edge of the cup, not to the edge of the paper, applying pressure as you wrap tape all the way around it. Now really take your time, and if you need to lift the tape, you can. It should be pretty forgiving. Once you've gone all the way around the cup, go ahead and cut the tape. And next you'll do the same thing to the bottom half of the design. So go all the way around the cup, starting from the seam line, and apply pressure as you go to the edge of the paper. This time you're going to the very edge of the paper instead of the edge of the cup, since you are within the middle of the cup at this point. So go ahead and go all the way around, use even pressure, and make sure that tape lays down to the edge of the paper. Then cut the tape, and we'll go ahead and do the same steps for the bottom half of the cup. Next, I'm going to prepare a piece of tape about the size of the top half design of my seam line. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off to where I think it's about the right size and set that down for later. Now, pop quiz. Do you guys remember this design overlapping? We're going to go ahead and take our squeegee tool and identify where the first half of that paper would have lied down. So right now you're looking for the under seam, essentially. Go ahead and trace that out so that way you can see where it is. Once you've identified that underseam on both sides, go ahead and grab your tape and lay that down over the middle of the underseam. Now what this does is it makes sure that that bottom piece of paper is also laying down nice and flat, just like your outer seam. Next, we'll grab one more piece of tape and do the same thing to the bottom half. So go ahead and place that tape right over the underseam, directly over the middle, lay it nice and flat, giving even pressure. Go ahead and run your finger down it to make sure it's laying nice and smoothly. Now we'll move on to our last few bits of tape. We'll go ahead and start from the bottom of the tumbler this time. I like to pull a little slack from the tape, and I'll go ahead and start wrapping it around the cup. When you're wrapping it around the bottom, you want it half on the paper, half off. That way, once you're done wrapping all the way around, you can tuck it onto the cup. Push the tape all the way down and make sure it's laying as flat as possible. It's okay if it puckers a little bit, you just want the paper to be laying nice and flat. Once you're done with that bottom part, go ahead and do the same thing to the top of the bottom half of the design. So you'll wrap the tape all the way around. For this one, I find it's easier to pull the tape off first, but it's up to you to find the way that works best. Go ahead and wrap that tape all the way around so that it's half on the paper, half on the cup. Once you're done laying this half down, you'll go ahead and do the same exact thing to the top of the design. So take your time and lay that tape all the way around. This is your final bit to secure the papers in place. Now we're going to finish the cup by going ahead and doing the top half of the design. So we'll go ahead and start from the bottom of it again and go all the way around. You want to go half on the paper, half off, and then push that tape onto place. Go ahead and go all the way around and then do the same exact thing to the top, just like you did for the bottom half. It's time for the home stretch. We're on the very last piece of tape. Now for this one, you're doing the same thing you've been doing. You'll go half on the paper, half off. But when you tuck it into the cup, it's okay for the tape to touch the inside of the cup. So wrap it all the way around, and then once you're done, you'll go ahead and just tuck it all the way in. And that's it. Your cup is fully wrapped and ready to bake. So now let's go ahead and put it in the oven at 375 degrees for 6 minutes.
Time to bake. Now we're gonna bake the tumbler at 375 degrees for 3 minutes on each side. All right, the first side is done. So now we'll go ahead and flip it 180 degrees by laying it on the opposite end and baking it for another 3 minutes. Our time is up. So we'll go ahead and take that tumbler out of the oven, unwrap it, and see how we did.
Now we get to see how we did. Let's go ahead and carefully use your heat protective glove to hold the cup in your non-dominant hand. You can use your weeding tool and slowly start peeling the tape away. I think the easiest way to do it is to start picking any exposed tape. You can grab the tape with your hand. The tape itself will not be hot, just the cup. Carefully get all the tape off the top, then do the same thing to the bottom of your cup. Now we're going to speed through the rest of this, but definitely take your time to make sure you don't scratch the cup with your weeding tool. Once you're done removing all the tape, go ahead and peel the paper back to reveal your final masterpiece. At this point too, you can also add on your handle and your lid to see how the whole thing came out. We're gonna go ahead and screw both pieces on just to see how it is. You'll wanna do your handle first and then your lid. Once everything's screwed into place, we'll go ahead and flip it around for a final reveal.
And that's it. We just sublimated a 40-ounce tumbler. If you guys had fun with us today, please like and subscribe for more of these videos, and thanks for joining us at MakerFlo Crafts.